and welcome to paradise, flats, beautiful sunshine and flats, and another Rio how-to. And this is Rio's how to fish for bonefish out of a flats boat. My name's Simon Gawesworth from Rio Products, and today, as I said, we're in this beautiful environment, about to go out and catch some fish, hopefully, but more importantly, show you how to fish for bonefish. As always with these videos, we start with the gear. This is an 8-weight standard saltwater rod. This is Sage's Salt HD, and on here I've got an 8-weight reel. It's a good balance outfit, and most importantly, on the front end of that reel, I have a line. I like to use our direct core bonefish line. I love the ultra low stretch, low memory line, and I particularly like the color scheme, what we call the surefire color scheme on these lines, because the colors really make you understand how much line to cast and how much line to hold and set up for when you're ready to make a cast. On the front end of that line, got a 12-pound bonefish leader, hoping for some big fish. I've got a nice strong bonefish leader. We don't need light stuff here because the fish are pretty big and they're not 2 leader shy. So that really is a simple setup. That is what we rig up for bonefish. So we're going to jump in a flats boat, go out and find a flat, and hopefully catch a bonefish. So when you're on the flats boat and you're targeting bonefish like this, a couple of things to do to make sure you're prepared. One is you want to make sure you've got a loop of line outside the rod ready to cast. And on our direct core bonefish line, there's a handy color change right here that if you hold around that color change, you've got the right amount to start loading off the cast. Second thing you want to do is in your spare hand, your non-casting hand, you want to have about a foot of leader hanging out from the fly. And this is, if you like, the ready position. So you are all ready to make the cast. The other tip about fishing on a boat for bonefish is fishing bare feet, like this, or with socks on, because what you do, you're going to stand on the line, like I'm here. I can feel that under this foot. If you have shoes on, or wading shoes, or tennis shoes, you'll not feel that. You'll make that cast, and you'll be standing on the line, and of course, will not make the cast. So by standing in bare feet or socks, it makes you ready and able, and you can feel when you're standing on the line. And really, that's it. Obviously, the next thing is to wait for a fish to come along, wait for your guide. Always listen to the guide. He's your eyes. He's got way better eyes than you. And wait for him to spot a fish, and then basically follow his directions. It's very important when you're stripping your line for line management that you ensure that the line gets in the hold of the boat. And you're just making sure that when you strip, you know where the hold of the boat is. If you're on your own, if you have a buddy, they're going to help you out. But when you don't, you make sure you strip your line in the hold of the boat, and that way it's held there and it's not going to get blown into the boat and you run over it when you make that shot for that elusive bonefish. What you're trying to avoid when you're stripping line is just laying it on the deck in front of you here and just there, because what's going to happen is the wind is going to blow and your stripping motion, the wind blows. You can see the line's now pushed off the deck here. The boat's going to run over it. You make a shot to a fish and you can't shoot anything because your line's under the boat. So what are you looking for when you're out in a bonefish flat? Well, probably 4 things are your keys. The easiest thing is always going to be mud. You look for big clouds of mud. Bonefish churn up the mud, and that's a pretty easy spot. Even at range you can see mud. You can also look for cruising fish. Cruising fish, of course, are easier to spot in clearer water, harder to spot in darker water. And once you spot the fish, you know which way it's swimming and you can easily anticipate it. Another thing is look for tails. They're a lot harder to see. Rely on your guide for that, but also keep yourself paying attention. You're trying to see tails waving gently out of the water. And finally, probably the hardest of all to see are what's called nervous water, where the water looks a little bit shimmery, slightly different from the wave action that is there. And that indicates there's fish underneath feeding or at least moving. And now I'm waiting for instructions from our guide Cayo here on where to cast. Another good thing to know about fishing is how your rod and fly line angle are so important when making the strip. When your line's out there, it's really important that you keep your rod and fly line straight all the time. Your rod's pointing straight at the line, and more importantly, your rod is low, like this. That way you're in touch with the fly the entire time. You don't ever want your rod to the side. You put a big curve of line in it like that, that's absolutely useless. And you don't want your rod up high because you get lots of slap with the line lifting and dropping on the water. So really important when you're stripping your line for pretty well most saltwater species from a flats boat, you really want to make sure that rod is low. Even underwater is fine, but pointing straight at the line all the time. When the boat swings, you swing the rod with it so your rod still is a straight connection to the fly line. 40 feet, 9 o'clock. This angle? Come on, he's on it. Yeah, there he is. Oh, yes, nice. Good eyes, Kayla. Absolutely awesome. Good tip for playing bonefish when you're trying to steer them, keep your rod tip low. If you're heading under the boat, you want to drop your rod out and put it way out to the side so the fish doesn't go underneath the boat. See how I'm holding the line away from the boat here? That's what I'm doing with that low side pressure with the rod, keeping it away from the boat. And then if it goes the other side of the boat, you just lift over the guide. He's going to be ready for you, and bring it round to the comfortable side. That's the one reason you need a reel with a good drag. You see, they're really hard fighters, so you have a good drag. You wind it when you can, but when that fish pulls, be ready to let you hang off the reel as fast as you can. There he comes. All right, recover it. Oh, there he is pulling. All right, he stopped running, so now it's time to recover the line as quick as you can. Oh, still use your finger when you're winding line in this, like this little pinky on the left hand, so that you wind the line on evenly, because otherwise it'll jam up if you don't pay attention to that. It happens so many times. You know this way that the line is set on the reel, ready to pull out. Gracias, Kayla. Oh, what a beautiful fish. They are just a magnificent fish. Gracias, Kayla. I got a bonefish. How about that? That's awesome. So, out on the flats, we saw a bunch, we casted a few, some ate, some didn't eat, plenty didn't eat, but in the end, we prevailed and got a bonefish out here in these beautiful flats in Cuba. Absolutely fantastic. Hopefully you learned something from that, how to fish for a bonefish. If you enjoyed that episode, check out the rest of them on the Rio website on Rio TV, www.rioproducts.com. Thanks for watching.